good afternoon, YouTubers. This is not the last, but it's part 3 of what would you do for family. Last video, I found this piece, and I suspected it was part of the defrost gear. Well, it is. So today, I get to put these mammoth jammers in. They're the updated part for GM, but notice their substantial size difference. You go from like a 1/4 inch to like a 1/2 inch, like freaking huge. These things will never break. So I have 2 of these. So I'm going to do both vents on the thing, and doing some shop upgrades. So now I've got the last bit of my wall done. I've still got some section here to do, but the last hard part of my wall is done. I still got to do the ceiling, like that section over there. I'm going to put that across. But finally got the car flopped around. So this is from the other side. That's a deer hit, apparently. But yeah, it runs and moves under its own power now. I had to put some more fluid in. I got about halfway down the driveway, forgot that I didn't put any extra fluid into it, and the thing came to a prompt stop. So after 2 extra liters of fluid, it's ready to go again. It's got a nice whine to it, but I think that's the belt. I'll leave it go. But yeah, now I've got to do the gears. So from some of the snippets I saw, one guy took steering column out, the gas pedal out, and all the other stuff. I'm probably going to take the gas pedal out and take the seat out so I can lay down inside and then work up inside, and attempt to do it that way. But I should be able to get some video of me up in the area and show what it needs to be done, and bring out the old crappy parts. So that's my hope for today, is to get in there enough that I can get those parts out and maybe get some parts in, maybe not get the car back together, but at least get it somewhat fixed. That's my hope. But we won't know until we get in there. So let's get at it.
Later.
I'm a little further in. I got the steering column out. The gas pedal and the brake pedal are hooked to their own big ass mount. So I've got to figure out how to get that out now. So this is what I've got out. So to get my fat ass in here, I took the seat out, just draped it here. It's 2 T50s on the back, and they're clipped in the front. To get as far as I am now, I use an 11 mil wrench, but it's a ratchet wrench, a 1/2 inch with a swivel, the T50 for the seat, a 9/32 socket, and a 10 mil socket. And to get some other shit off, you use this. And to get some other plugs off, I use a pick with double end. That's so far all I've needed. Oh, and of course a little tappy. That's just to get the shaft off your steering column. You punch that out or tap it off because it's a little stuck. So the gear that I'm after is that little white one right there. That little white fucker is right where I'm kind of trying to get to. But there is literally this much fucking dash right in my road. So those 2 bolts and all this other shit has got to go, because right behind this piece is right where I want to be. So like I said, the gas pedal, the brake pedal, and all that shit sits on this big substrate, and it's held in by what I see is 3 bolts. So, well, 3 bolts there, and then there's 2 more bolts here and on both sides. So that's that. And yeah, I gotta get all that shit off before I can even attempt to get at the fucking gear, which, like I said, is right there. And yeah, you can't get at this fucking thing. So I don't know what GM I honestly don't know what GM charges for this, but GM, you need to think about repair options for your techs and for other people. Because this is fucking retarded. Like, do you take the whole dash out and repair those and then put the whole dash back in? Do you have some other way of getting at them? Because this is fucking retarded. This is almost as bad as the Mazda 3 sedan version trying to go after the heater resistor. It's above the gas pedal. 2 bolts, and you take it off. But you got to do some serious yoga to even see that thing, let alone get it back in. And Mazda 3 and their blower motors, well, they say it's an 8-hour job. It's easily 12 for the uninitiated, and you need special tools for it. Like, car makers, give your head a shake. This sucks. Well, I'm going to go back at it.
A few moments later.
Okay, so, yeah, this has gotten a little out of hand. The brake thingy would not come off. I don't know why, but the bolts just come back so far and then they stripped. So, that's not happening. So, plan B. Yeah, plan B. I'm going to take the dash pad and guts off and get at the side of it. At this point in time, that's the only way I can see getting my hands up in there. I gotta take the entire dash apart to replace 2 fucking $15 parts. Oh my god. Chev, you suck. If it was any other car, I'm sure I could get my hands up there, pop them off, put them in, put them back in. But no. My fat ass and my Neanderthal knuckles are not getting up there past that gas pedal brace. And since the other part does not want to come out, we're at this. Total destruction. So, yeah, this is where I'm at for right now. I'm calling it a bloody day. I'm going to go at it again tomorrow, when I figure out how to get the actual dash pad off. The rest of the bolts, as far as I can tell, the lower half is unbolted, but I cannot get at the top half, and I don't know where the bolts are. So I'm going to go do some book tutelage and find out where those screws are. So that's it for today. All this for 2 $15 parts. Holy shit. I hate you, Chev. You suck so bad. But why do I love Chev so much? I don't know. I can't figure it out. Well, that's it. Well, good morning, or good afternoon, whatever the case may be, but it's day 2 of this debacle. So, we are at a point now where I can actually see the gears from this point. So, this is where I'm at now. So, I thought I could get the gas pedal thingy out. You can barely see, but this is what I'm after. So there's 2 pieces in behind here. So now I can get at the bloody gear and get those 2 pieces out. So they're down there. all this for $30 worth of parts. This is nuts. There is like 30,000 of these freaking things, 9/32 throughout the stash. You have to, where are they? Take out ones that look like this, but they're 1/2 inch. These ones here on the other side. So you can get at the plug that does the center console. There's a plug that comes down, it's just underneath there, and it plugs in through this side. You have to push the button and then lever it up and then jiggle it, and then it'll pop off. And then you have your body control module and your radio stack all here. That's all going to come out. There is 2 pins I found out right here, and there's one on the other side, that hold the top of the dash in. So if you're yanking on it, doesn't seem like it wants to go, pull those 2 pins. Just pull the dash out, and then out she comes. Other than that, the rest of the screws are just along here, and everything else just unsnaps. So There's a pile of shit there, a pile of shit there. All that has got to come out to get this fucking dash out. And then that's what you get. This is what we do for family, right? I don't know. I wish I was getting paid for this, but I'm not. I'm doing this because he doesn't have much to do at the dealership. He can't send this to the dealership to get this done. I was hoping it was a motor, but nope. So now I'm going to dive into there and see what I see and see what I can do. And then for the probably 30 minutes I'm going to be in there, then I get to spend 2 days putting this fucking thing back together. Because I broke one thing, but I got to glue it back together. It's the HUD warning for the blinky thing. The piece wasn't glued on very well. So when I gave it a tug, it popped off the lid, and it's held in by a clip. So I gotta glue that back on. Other than that, that is the first and only casualty that I have seen on this perpetually binging nightmare. So I'm gonna go and take a little bit of break, and I'm gonna dive back into this. I'll catch you on that when I get there.
Eventually.
Okay, so here's where we at. So I've got this piece out of here, which sits on that bottom dowel there. There's a motor right there that I'm not taking the whole dash cage off. I'm not taking this whole fucking thing off. So I'm just pulling it back far enough I can get this back in. But the one down below might have a little bit harder time getting that because it's right there. So it runs on that gear, and then the top one, which is broken, which I thought was smaller. GM and their dumb wisdom. So there's the one that's broken, and there's the new ones going in. So that's where we're at. And yeah, so I just pulled this screw and this retainer off the end of this and pulled, or actually I spun this over by hand so I can get it down to a flatter side, thinking it would come off the motor, but it didn't, so I can't. So now I'm just going to pull it back far enough that I can get my new gears into this spot and hopefully be able to get this bloody thing back together, and hopefully it works. That's my theory. This is the worst job I can imagine, other than the heater core, because it looks even worse. Because the heater core is right there. And from another video, the dash is going to come out for that one too. I'm not doing that one. The whole heater box and the whole shit caboodle is going to come out for that one. And we're taking the dash out for these stupid things. So for 4 years or 5 years that this thing's been on the road, 2016, yeah, more than that. So yeah, 5 years it's been on the road. This is the first time the dash is going to come out of it, and it's not going to be the last. I'm sure if that heater core blows, it will be coming out again. So
One eternity later.
Well, I got them out. This is what it looks like before it breaks. This is what it looks like after it breaks, and the parts I put in are what you get when you update the part. Now, what I ended up having to do is I took all the bolts out of here, the remaining ones out of here, and the ones on that side, and the two here, and I lifted this whole thing up and then put 2 crow's feet underneath so I can get this gear completely out, because that's the only way you're going to get the other gear in or out. And then as I rotate it back and forth, eventually they dropped back in their places, and I got them, I think, timed right. It seems like they open and close where they're supposed to. It doesn't bind up or anything like that. But now what I dread to do is I got to put enough electronics back in this thing, turn it on, and see if that actually does what it's supposed to do. That's going to be a fun part. And then I got to get the dash back together if I've successfully got it set up right. I'm thinking the motor that drives that gear, I see 5 or 6 wires coming off it, senses where it's supposed to be. So if that's the case, then I have to figure out, or let it do its thing, and then figure out what it's on, and then we'll go from there. So that's going to be the fun part. So if there is that, then I'll go from there. So onward and upward. Well, as you can hear, I've got enough of the electronics put in, and I'm remarkably surprised. The car comes on as soon as you turn the ignition on. It does a relearn process. So that gear there, as soon as I turn the ignition, I don't know if it's going to do it again. Oops. I can't get the key back out. But it did a full revolution, and then it came back around. So it relearned what its position was. So I guess it was because it was in the middle of something, and it wanted to know where the end stops were. So yeah, it relearned its process. So for right now, it's doing its job. So that one is face vent. This one is floor and vent. And then we got defrost and floor. And then we've got full defrost. And we've now got air going to the defrost. So now all this for $30 worth of parts. And yeah, so I have the screen hooked up. I have I'm assuming the brain box, because it's the biggest part of everything here. So I got the brain box with the CD player. I've got just enough of the controls to work. There's the BCM underneath that, and then the screen just to get enough of this to work. So now I've got to make sure everything goes back together. Oh, and when you take this out, make sure this doesn't flip around on you, which it will do. There's a clock spring right there, and if this gets out of order, it'll give you an error, or it may pop the airbag in. Well, it might not. I don't know. I shouldn't say that. But it will give you an error, because this is the clock spring that figures out in which direction you are at, and it's for when you're in an accident. So if you don't have this back in the right spot, you'll probably get an error. So beware of that. So when you pick it up and take it out, make sure the wheels are straight and all this is straight, and keep it that way. That way you don't have to relearn or redo the clock spring in this, because bad shit happens. But yeah, I think I'm done with that, and everything is working. So I am going to save you the boredom of me putting this back together and get away from that freaking dinging noise, and put this Humpty Dumpty back together again. And I will probably bring you along maybe for when I do everything else on this car. He's looking for a battery and a hub. But good evening. So check you later.